Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Jennifer Salerno, a nurse practitioner, mom, and founder of Possibilities for Change. Over the past decade, I've brought together an incredible network of educators, clinicians, software engineers, parents, and youth. Together, we've created a program that turns screening into action, helping youth live safer, healthier, and more successful lives. We'll begin with a message from one of our athlete partners, really underscoring the critical gap that inspired the creation of Rising Together.
Every day, there's a silent crisis unfolding in our schools. A smile hiding sadness. A student battling invisible storms. And far too many feeling like they're alone. 1 in 3 youth feel hopeless. 1 in 6 have made a suicide plan. 1 in 4 don't have a trusted adult to turn to. Just let that sink in. Now ask yourself, what if we could change that? This is Rising Together, a bold movement to rewrite the story for our youth. To give every student a voice, a safe space, and a lifeline before it's too late. As a father, I know what that means. With our school-wide mental health screening, we're not waiting for our kids to cry for help. I wish I would have got to my son. I wish I could have heard his silent cries. But now I need all of us to reach out first, identifying the needs, like having real conversations, connecting them to real support to where they can get help. Because we believe mental health support should be just as common as math class.
Ray's words are so powerful. They remind us that change is possible, but only if we act differently. Across schools nationwide, we've seen what happens when screenings identify risk, but stop there. That's why Rising Together was built differently, to fill those gaps and support both students and the adults who care for them. Rising Together is a comprehensive, evidence-based program designed for youth ages 8 through 18. It empowers students to be open and honest, helps identify those who may be struggling, and ensures families and schools can respond quickly and appropriately. To see how this comes to life, let's first walk through the student experience. A student receives a link to complete the screening during a designated class, typically using their assigned computer or tablet. The questions are private, engaging, and built to encourage honesty. If a student responses indicate concern, our Adam technology flags that student in real time. That triggers a supportive process. Students meet with designated school support staff and are provided immediate interventions. Families are contacted when appropriate, and if needed, personalized community resources and referrals are facilitated. These referral agencies are identified and the partnerships are established prior to any screening occurring to help ensure those connections are seamless. And as you can see, the process itself is simple, but the impact runs deep, because behind every screening completed, every flag reviewed, is a real student whose life can be changed in that moment. And that's exactly what we're seeing, that student improvement across schools. And that impact is driven by our technology called Adam. Built by clinicians and software engineers, it's the first system of its kind, designed to be trauma responsive, actionable, and easy for schools to use. This system links each stage of implementation, from parent consent to screening to school support dashboards, so that no student is overlooked and every high-risk flag leads to timely support. But technology alone isn't enough. It's the people who use it that make the real difference. And that's where Mighty Change comes in. Mighty Change is our online professional development program. It's not about turning teachers or staff into therapists. It's about giving them the tools and language to connect, support, and refer students when needed. This training builds a stronger, more compassionate school culture where every adult feels equipped to make a difference. And while Mighty Change strengthens the skills of school staff, we know that real change happens when parents are part of the process too. And the first step in that partnership is transparency, giving families the opportunity to understand and consent to screening before it begins. And we've designed this step to build trust, not barriers. Parents receive clear, straightforward information about the purpose of the screening, how data is protected, and how results will be used to help their child, not judge them. And this process empowers parents to be part of the solution from the very start. When families understand that this is about support and not stigma, engagement rises dramatically. And once parents are on board, we take the next step, equipping them with tools to have supportive, meaningful conversations at home. Parent skill building is one of the most powerful components of Rising Together. Through our Teen Speak program, we give parents and caregivers practical strategies to talk with the teens about tough topics, things like stress, substance use, or mental health. Parents learn how to ask open-ended questions, listen without judgment, and guide their teens towards healthy choices. This is where real change begins, at home in everyday conversations. And while parents are gaining confidence, students are also completing their screening, a key step that brings their voice directly into this process. Where Rising Together truly shines is in the student screening experience. The screening is designed to be private, secure, and trauma-informed, creating a safe space where students feel comfortable sharing how they're really doing. Because of the way the questions are thoughtfully structured and how the technology supports the process, we consistently see students open up, including those who may not typically seek out a counselor or talk with an adult at school. And once the screening is complete, responses are securely aggregated in real time. So every student receives age-appropriate information and resources tailored to their results, ensuring no student leaves without support or guidance. The next critical step is continued parent communication. Parents and caregivers are notified that the screening took place, and they receive clear, actionable information so they understand what was done, why it matters, and how they can support their child. We know parents want to stay informed, and we prioritize communication that is both caring and clear. Every parent receives guidance on how to talk with their child about the results, what next steps may look like if additional support is needed, and how they can best support their child at home. We often hear from families that this initial conversation opens up the door to communication that hadn't been happening before. It's a simple yet powerful step in strengthening understanding and connection between youth and the adults who support them. And from there, our focus turns to the school team, ensuring that they have the right tools and support to respond effectively and consistently. As screenings are completed, school support staff receive a confidential, prioritized list of students who may need follow-up, including those requiring immediate attention. The system provides more than names. It delivers actionable insights that help staff respond quickly, feel confident in their conversations, and connect students to appropriate supports and resources. So this just isn't about identifying who may need help. It's about ensuring every student is connected at the right level of support at the right time. And when these pieces come together, student honesty, timely staff response, and meaningful parent engagement, the impact is powerful. Behind every screening completed and every alert reviewed is that real student whose life can change that day. And that's exactly what we're seeing, meaningful student improvement across schools. This happens because our program also fits how schools already operate. Rising Together is intentionally designed to align with the school's multi-tiered system of supports, using screening data to help teams move from reacting to crises to proactively supporting students at every tier. And once schools have this data, it doesn't just inform interventions, it drives smarter planning, policy decisions, and resource allocation across the district. Rising Together provides a clear, actionable framework to help schools focus their efforts, whether strengthening universal supports or delivering individualized care. And this is where we can see the data become personal. When we talk about outcomes, it's easy to focus on numbers and metrics. And yes, we have those, as you can see, but the real proof is in the voices of the students. One story that stays with me came from a school partner we included here. That said, we identified a student who had been dealing with suicidal thoughts, anxiety, and depression for years. He didn't know how to ask for help, but when approached after the screening, he finally opened up. He told us he probably wouldn't be in therapy today if it weren't for this screening. And that's the power of Rising Together. It's not just about identifying risk, it's about opening that door. And every time I hear stories like this, I'm reminded that what we're building is more than a screening system. It's a pathway to hope, connection, and care for students who might otherwise have continued to struggle in silence. And that hope doesn't stop with students. It extends to their families and the trusted adults who surround them. As I shared, a big part of our work includes empowering parents, caregivers, and mentors through our Teen Speak program. And parents often tell us how transformative it feels. One said, "I suspected my teen was struggling, but this helped me finally know how to address it." And the data shows the impact. Nearly 80% of parents reported feeling confident having difficult conversations, and over half felt more connected to their teen. And that connection is what builds resilience. But the data only tells part of the story. Behind them are real students, families, and moments of change. Everything we built, the evidence base, the technology, the training, comes down to moments like this.
I had a sixth grader who is in therapy outside twice a month, and it turned out that she had been making preparatory steps. She was writing letters. She was definitely looking at and moving forward with wanting to attempt. If we didn't have this screener, and this is where I get a little emotional, but if we didn't have this screener, I don't know what would have happened because she wasn't being truthful. And in that situation, she clearly was open and wanted help and was open to what she was feeling and experiencing. And so I think in those situations, that's why we do the screener right there, because in my heart, we saved her.
Every single screening has the potential to be that turning point for a young person. And what's so powerful is that I've heard that same story from many counselors. It's not just happening in one school, it's happening nationwide. Rising Together is more than a program. It's a partnership with schools. It's a way to proactively identify student needs, strengthen supports, and ensure no student falls through the cracks. If what you've seen today reflects the challenges and the opportunities within your school, community, we invite you to explore participating in Rising Together. And participation doesn't mean adding more to your plate. It means bringing clarity, structure, and support to the work you're already doing. Scan the QR code to learn more, request additional information, or start a conversation about whether Rising Together is a fit for your school or district. Together, we can ensure every student feels seen, supported, and connected, because when schools rise together, students thrive.